A to Z Sports Live on a Wednesday. Gonna have another great show today. Part two, day two of our Titans season prediction shows here with the three of us, Austin Stanley, Sam Phelan, Jack Gentry, all talking Titans. And yesterday, we had a big conversation about the Titans as a whole, some big picture conversations and questions to ask you guys. Win-loss prediction, how does the season end? And also the most valuable Titan was all about yesterday. Today is going to be all about the nitty gritty and the stat projections and predictions that we're going to make here about the quarterback, the running back, the receiving position, and the defense. So we've got a lot loaded up for you guys. So welcoming everybody. Going to have a great show here on this Wednesday. We will throw shade. And today we started a little bit later, probably 3 minutes later than we should have, because we were basically doing the throwing shade segment before we went live. Jack's Wi-Fi is fixed, but throwing shade will be very spicy. We will leave it at that. Sam, Jack, welcome in, guys. Sam, tell the people what they got to do.
Well, hey, the first thing you got to do is go to the chat right now and maybe follow along with us, or maybe go here after the show, whatever. But my season predictions are out on A2Zsports.com. If you want to give a good little read, if you want a little bit more explanation about the record I gave you guys yesterday and hear a little bit more about my thoughts, go ahead and click that link. So you have to go to A2Z Sports. I'm going to keep kind of dropping that in here throughout the show. But you also have to share the show before we go here this morning. It's going to be a great show. Like Austin said, we got predictions. We got some over-unders. We got some player previews. And then we've got a great throwing shade with some heat coming, because I've been saving and building up for this one for a couple days here. I've got a few of them on my mind. So if you're joining us, share the show. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button. If you're watching on YouTube, take the link, send it to a friend, drop it in a group chat, in a text chain, whatever it is. Make sure you support us that way. That's the best way to grow to the A2Z Sports family before we kick things off on a Wednesday morning.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome to A2Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He's Sam Phelan of A2ZSports.com, our Titans reporter. He is also Jack Gentry of the Tighten Up podcast, the award-winning Tighten Up podcast. Right. And we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline, and hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans coverage. Got to thank our sponsors, because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go to make them a part of your new car buying process, or see them in Lebanon. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, better coverage rates and service at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app, keeping us all safe online, and you can get a 2-week free trial at aura.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations in Murfreesboro, Columbia, and Franklin, online at KrebsKubota.com. So Titanium says, what happened to Buck? Nothing. Buck is live every prime time at 8 o'clock Sunday through Thursday. Maybe you're asking what happened to Zach. Zach is, we released that yesterday, that Zach is going to be on the show Monday and Tuesday with me. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be a combination of the three of us. And then also our Titan Game Day show is going to be the combination of the three of us. Starting on Sunday, Titan Game Day live, pregame, halftime, postgame. Home games will be me and Jack. Away games mostly will be Sam and Jack. But this upcoming week 1, I don't know what Jack's doing. Maybe he's going to be on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, but it'll be me and Sam. Jack says, I can't do week 1. And I was like, I didn't even ask why. I just assumed he was going to be drinking Hurricanes down there on Bourbon Street. But maybe you can confirm or deny or what.
No, that would be a whole lot more fun than what I've got going on. I'm going up to Cincinnati this weekend. So no Hurricanes, no hand grenades on Bourbon Street, but hopefully Ole Miss comes away with a win, followed by a Titans win on Sunday.
Fair enough. So we've got today a lot of great conversations and our questions about our Titans stat predictions. But let's recap what we did yesterday in case you missed it, because we went through yesterday's show. We did our win predictions, how the season's going to end, and the MVT, most valuable Titan. And Sam, you've already dropped the article link that you published this morning. So I'll let you start kind of recapping what you felt about this Titan season on our prediction show yesterday.
Yeah, so if you, again, I just dropped the link again, but one of the things I really broke down in my Titans prediction preview that I could not help but focus on, and we talked about it at length yesterday, was the schedule for the Titans this year. And what I feel like has to be one of the 5 easiest schedules in the National Football League. Outside of the easy layups at the bottom of the AFC South, with 2 games against the Colts and 2 games against the Houston Texans, the Titans play a pretty uninspiring NFC South with a game against Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa, Carolina. Those are not good teams. They do not play a single team coming off a bye week, and all of their really difficult opponents like Cincinnati, like Baltimore, like Seattle, they either have at a neutral site or at Nissan Stadium at home. So overall, I keep looking at the schedule. It's really hard for me not to be bullish about the Titans because I think there's some wins kind of handcrafted to them. And when I look around at, say, the Jags schedule, it's not quite as easy. The Jags have the gauntlet that the Titans are happy to avoid this year of having to play Buffalo and Kansas City and some of the best teams in the AFC. And so I think the Titans have that advantage. Ran Carthon did a tremendous job, in my opinion, of kind of revamping the roster and filling the holes in one offseason. The impact of Tim Kelly can't be understated. And I continually think Ryan Tannehill is being severely underrated by the national media and those that kind of have a broader outlook on the Titans season.
Yeah. And so you had the Titans going 11-6 yesterday. You had the Titans losing in the wild card game as a home team, right? You had the 3 seed, right? The 3 seed Titans losing to the 6 seed Jets because you got the script from the NFL is what you said.
Yeah, I was. So the script didn't really tell me if they were the 3 seed or the 4 seed in there, but they did end up getting the New York Jets in that first game, and yeah. So I do think like the question of whether can the Titans win 11 games is a bit of a different question than can the Titans win a playoff game or make a push in the playoffs, because the teams that you're seeing at that level, I think, are going to be completely different. You're probably having one of Cincinnati, Baltimore, and one of Buffalo and the New York Jets, in my opinion, in that wild card weekend, traveling to a division winner. Like 2 of those teams are going to be traveling to a division winner. So it's not going to be easy on the teams that don't get a bye week to like defend their home turf in January.
Yeah. And Jack, you also had 11-6, which surprised me. I was the low man by 2 games at 9-8, but what was your biggest reason for 11-6 to recap yesterday?
But you did have them making the playoffs and winning a playoff
I
game.
did. Yeah, we had the same end of the season of divisional round loss, but you had 2 more regular season wins.
No, I'm with Sam. I think the schedule does come with a few advantages. The 5 rookie quarterbacks that they're going to play, there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks playing in their first year of their new system on the schedule, including week 1, Derek Carr in New Orleans. But I think there's a lot of room for this Titans team to improve. You look at areas like pass defense where they finished last in the NFL. There's the only way to go is up from there. And the Titans' bread and butter is running the football. They didn't have a great year running the football last year behind an offensive line that featured a couple of turnstiles, namely Dennis Daly. They finished 13th in rushing last year. I think that they can absolutely bounce back up into that top 10, maybe top 8, and maybe even higher than that. So I do think that there's a lot of room for improvement. And let's not forget that this is a Titans team that was 3 minutes away from winning the division and hosting a playoff game last year. Things didn't break right for the Titans, and maybe a review could have gone a little longer. But that was last season. We have moved on to now, some of us at least, maybe not me. But I do think that there's a lot of room to improve. So I think 11-6 is reasonable, and I do love some of the hidden gems that Rand Carthon in this front office has brought in over the offseason.
Yeah, and I think from where the Titans were ending last season, I think Rand has done a good job with Vrabel on trying to improve the weak spots. Now, Sam, me and you had like a pass-fail grade. I guess that was last week. Time is a weird thing at this point of the year. But, where we said fail, pass 50% on those topics. But I think overall, very much a passing grade for Rand Carthon in what he did with the lack of resources he had from the salary cap and all that stuff. So, Sam, you brought up that you think Ryan Tannehill's one of the more underrated parts of what this season can be. I listed Tannehill as my most valuable Titan last year. Tiffany says, ain't no secret that she has faith in Ryan Tannehill. I did see some other, Matt says, I hope Tannehill balls the F out because he's done it before, got to the AFC Championship game with him at the helm, praying for this team's health. And I saw some other Tannehill comments on the positive side because obviously, if Ryan Tannehill stays healthy, the Titans would go to the playoffs. That's been the case 3 out of 4 years. He stayed healthy 3 out of 4 years, didn't stay healthy last year because of the offensive line. The Titans don't go to the playoffs. Pretty similar, that correlation there. So let's start our Titans stat predictions with the quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. We want everybody to predict Ryan Tannehill's passing yards and Ryan Tannehill's touchdown passes this season. So what are your predictions for Ryan Tannehill's passing yards and passing touchdowns this season? So get your calculators out, try to figure it out, what you think for yards and touchdowns so far up this upcoming season. But first, I'm going to tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans. That is who you should trust to take your health plan and health coverage to the next level. Farm Bureau Health Plans have been serving Tennesseans across the entire state, every corner of the state for over 75 years. They have 200 plus locations across the state to make it easy on you. And it's so easy to get your process started by going to the website fbhp.com/ATOZ. It's important to add that /ATOZ because that signals Farm Bureau Health Plans that you know about us, and they will help you out and make that even easier than it already is. Zach has saved 20% every month on his health coverage since flipping over to Farm Bureau Health Plans, and he's got better coverage for it as well. So they can help you out in whatever your situation is, whether you're an entrepreneur, self-employed, or contracted employee that needs health coverage. Farm Bureau Health Plans is there for you. You got a growing family, maybe you've got an aging family, whatever your life stage is at, Farm Bureau Health Plans can set you up at fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM has got a survivor pool that you guys have got to get in. Maybe you guys play fantasy football. You just want to add a little bit of more skin in the game, or maybe you don't, but you're looking for a way to have some rooting and vested interest in every single week of the NFL season. A survivor pool is a great way to do it. The way it works, you place a bet on any NFL team or just pick any NFL team to win their game. No spreads, no nothing, just win. If they win, you survive, you advance, but you can't pick the same team more than once. So once they're used, they're gone. You can't use them again. You keep trying to survive and advance every week. If your team loses, you're out. But if you're the last player standing with BetMGM, you can win up to $100,000 and it's free to play. So free entry, up to $100,000 in prizes. That sounds like a pretty good deal. It's presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Thanks to the BetMGM Football Survivor Pool Challenge. You've got to do it this football season. Get with BetMGM.com to enter.
Yep. And Sam, I already told you yesterday that I took the Ravens in week 1 in that. So make sure that you can get that all set up with BetMGM. All right. So Jack, we're going to start with you. What is your season predictions for Ryan Tannehill with his passing yards and passing touchdowns in looking for a rebound year with the Titans after, last year being just really difficult for Tannehill with the lack of offensive line, lack of weapons, and then his ankle injuries throughout the entire second half of the season?
Yeah, so when I kind of put this together in my head, I had to go through like a game-by-game basis. How many yards do I think Tannehill will average throughout the season? And a number that stuck with me was 230 yards per game. If he averages 230 yards per game passing and plays all 17, that puts him at 3,900 yards on the season. Now, I think that's attainable. I think Tim Kelly's going to want to throw it around more. I think a guy who's really going to help him is Tajay Spears. In passing situations on third down, Tajay Spears is probably going to give him a few hundred this season. So I like 3,900 for yards. Now, when it comes to touchdowns, it's a tricky game, right? In 55 starts with the Titans, Tannehill's thrown 89 touchdowns. That's 1.62 touchdowns per game. I'm doing a little math. Bear with me. It's early.
Did you do the math before the show started? Because
I did this. I did this weeks ago when I was talking on the Tighten Up podcast about it. So 1.62 touchdowns per game. That equates to 27.5 touchdowns on the season. I think that there's a chance Tannehill can push for 30. Now, remember, he did throw for 33 back in 2020, but A.J. Brown's not here anymore, and a lot has changed since then. Last season, he wasn't on the field enough. The season before it, A.J. Brown wasn't on the field enough, and Julio Jones sure still wasn't on the field enough. So I think that 28 and 3,900 is right around where Tannehill's going to land this season.
Okay. So 3,900 yards, which would that be his most as a Titan? Because that 2020 season, I know he was under 4,000. Would 3,900 be the most?
That would be the most. In 2020, he threw for 38-19.
Okay.
But that was a 16-game schedule.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
So you say 3,900, and that was also a 16-game schedule where they had 2,000 rushing yards from Derrick Henry. So There's a lot of yards in that year that is just probably not going to happen again. That was rivaling the early 2000s St. Louis Rams for just putting up gaudy ass stats from a bunch of different guys, which kind of went overlooked because of the first round exit. So 3,900 passing yards and 28 touchdowns for Ryan Tannehill. Sam, I'll send you to the chat as we're going to roll through these. What is the chat saying for Ryan Tannehill stat predictions, passing yards and passing touchdowns?
We've got John coming in with 3,530, 3,421. Matt's at 3,750, 35. Orlando pretty close to Jack at 3,824. Brock says 37 and 31, 37 and 28, 36 and 28, 3,800 and 31 touchdowns. We got 38 and 28 touchdowns, 34 touchdowns, 4,100. Troy, our first over 4,000. Major Keys also over 4,000. 3,750 and 28, 3,228, 33 and 26, 3,316, 3,923, 3,800, 3,700, 3,400, 3,500, 3,750. 3,000 even with 28 touchdowns, 3,732 touchdowns. I think the chat is pretty dialed in with what Jack was pinning. Jack may be a little bit on the high end.
Yards, right?
Definitely on the high end of these yards. Most people are in this 34 to 35, low end being these 3,200s. Not too many pushing 4,000 like Rooney, who has 11 touchdowns, which I just think would be an insanely weird stat line. For
Derrick Henry would probably have like 35 rushing touchdowns from the 1 yard line.
Well, if Ryan Tannehill throws for 4,000 yards and only has 11 touchdowns, that would be quite the. I would be very interested in seeing everybody else's stat line. Is it like? Does Treylon Burks have 5 rushing touchdowns in that scenario, like on end arounds or something like that?
It better not. Ryan, look, hey, but also one thing we're not asking is that Ryan Tannehill scores touchdowns with his legs. Outside of last season, the first 3 years that he's been the Titan starter, even in 2019, 7 touchdowns rushing a year is basically what Tannehill was doing. So that's a way that he can help out. And we all know the red zone scoring threat that Derrick Henry is. But I think to Jack's point about looking at the 33 touchdowns in 2020 passing for Tannehill and why he can get closer to that is because compared to 2020, this is the best red zone scoring pass catcher group the Titans have, like they had in 2020, where you've got AJ and Jonnu Smith could go up and catch touchdown passes in the red zone. D-Hop lives there and is damn near a Hall of Famer in that specific aspect. I think Chig will be better in the red zone. I think Treylon Burks in year 2 will be really good in the red zone. And Sam, something I noticed in training camp, now Kyle Phillips has to stay healthy, but Kyle Phillips we know is good on third and medium, third and short in those quick routes. I'm interested to see how they can use Kyle Phillips on third and goal from the 4, right? In those same type of situations, if he can stay healthy. So I'm going to give my prediction here. And then Sam, I know you've got some fun over-unders for us to go to. And I agree with Timothy. Hit the like button, please. Hit the like button. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button because that just makes the show even better. And thank you, Timothy. He's just doing our work for us. So Jack, I think you're pretty damn close. I think Ryan Tannehill has 4,000 yards passing this year.
Really? That's never been done by a Tennessee Titans quarterback.
Yeah, rules are meant to be broken. And I think Ryan Tannehill does that. Sam, you just had a weird face, like you didn't believe something that was said.
I didn't. Well, I guess it makes sense now under the context of Tennessee Titans quarterback.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that
Warren Moon did it a couple times in the
'Cause,
90s, but
trust
no
me, I
Titans
know that
quarterback.
the Bears are the only franchise without one of those ever to
Yeah.
do 4,000 yards. So that, yeah, it just I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. And then I'm like, oh no, he's talking about Titans.
Because Matt Hasselbeck is the team's leader in most passing yards in a season, right? Or did Tannehill break that in 2020? I know he got close.
Tannehill's got it.
Okay, so Tannehill did that in 2020. But I do think 4,000 yards passing is going to happen this season from Ryan Tannehill. Now, obviously, he's got to stay healthy. And if he gets hurt, then that's probably not going to happen and misses a game. But I truly do believe, Sam, and I know you're less on this than I am, I think they're going to throw the ball more as far as a percentage than they have ever in this Vrabel Tannehill era of Titans football with Derrick Henry. And so I do think 4,000 yards passing is going to happen because they've got guys that can catch volume and they've got a lot of different weapons that can help them through the air across the field vertically and horizontally. So I'm saying 4,000 yards passing, barely, like under 4,100, but he's over 4,000. I'm like in that little 99-yard window. And I think for touchdown passes, I'm going to go with 27 because I still do believe that Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears, and Tannehill, all with their legs, will take some of those short yardage scores away from the passing game. So 4,000 yards, just over, and 27 passing touchdowns from Ryan Tannehill.
All right, well, let's play a game.
Okay.
Let's guess that line. So per the sports books, what do you guys think the over-under is on Ryan Tannehill's regular season passing yard total?
Jack, you have not looked at this yet, Jack.
No,
right?
I have no clue.
Okay. I want to say
and passing touchdowns. So the over-under on yards and touchdowns for Ryan Tannehill, according to the sports books.
So here's my philosophy on this. I think the books will make it super low because the books are going to bank on Tannehill getting replaced by Will Levis or Malik Willis at some point.
Wow, give me a guess.
I'm going to say it's around 3,500.
Yeah.
All right, Jack.
Passing yards, I think it's 3,550 on passing yards, somewhere around there. For touchdowns, I'll go 24.5.
I was going to say 21.5 or 20.5, 21. I'll jump off the fence.
Well, fellas, I think you're with me because I'm placing a nuclear play of the year future on Ryan Tannehill's overs. 3,050.5 passing yards is the line currently at -112, over under 17.5 touchdowns.
You are kidding me.
That's a he's going to get benched and lose his job line.
And I'm placing as big of a bet as I can responsibly afford on those overs because I think that is, it's averages about 170 passing yards per game is what it would take for Ryan Tannehill to eclipse that over. And yeah, like one touchdown per game. He's never missed those marks in a full season with the Titans before. He surpassed the touchdown mark in the year he took over for Marcus Mariota after like week 6 or whatever.
9 starts.
Yeah, like he passed 17 touchdowns in that one. And he almost had it last year playing in 12 games with as bad as that offense was. I agree with Troy. I think it's free money. That is a bad line. It's a bad line. I saw it looking it up for this show yesterday. I choked. I was like, that can't be a real line that they're putting out there for people to bet on. So
yeah. That's
over.
Yeah. Unless, because last year he threw for 2,500, but he only played in 12 games. And so if, quick math tells you he's
on pace to break that number last year. So you're right, Austin. It is strictly a line of saying he's not going to finish the season as the starter, which I think you both would agree is either because of an injury And that's probably it. Like, I don't
agree.
really realistically see a world where the Titans are bad enough that they go to Will Levis or Malik Willis before the season's over.
All right. So last year, before you get to your Sam, last year, Tannehill in the worst offense they've had, anemic at most times, averaged 211 passing yards a game. So Jack's having it as a 19 yards per game improvement, which I think is a really strong jump from one year to the next. So Sam, what is your prediction on passing yards and passing touchdowns for Ryan Tannehill in 23?
Yeah, I'm a little lower than you guys in the passing yard department. I've got him right around 3,600, which is about a 210 per game average. I do like the way Jack broke it down mathematically. I was kind of doing the same thing in my head of like, all right, well, what do I feel like is a realistic number for him to average? And where does that put him for the season? So overall, I put him at 3,625 passing touchdowns was, kind of where I felt like you said, Austin, I don't know if they're going to pass quite as much as you think, but I do think having Hopkins and, an improved Treylon Burks, some more volume pass catchers and some just, I think Tajay Spears, a great point by Jack. Like there could be a check down to Tajay Spears that he takes 60 yards to the house. It makes Ryan Tannehill look really good in the box score. So I've got him at 36-25, very comfortably on the over. If you are into the sports betting, and I see the chat's pretty excited about that line. Don't move the line. I'm going to get angry if I go to bet on it.
Give Sam an hour before you touch it, right?
If the line moves when I go to bet on it, I'm not going to be too happy.
Yeah,
I think we could set the line on what week do you think Tannehill hits his marks on the sport. I think it's week 15. We could all be done and cashing our bets.
Oh, it should be earlier than that. If you're talking about 230 yards a game,
touchdowns. I mean, it could be week 13.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking Thanksgiving as a timeline to watch for that, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And it's a perfect buy low spot, right? You mentioned it. The offensive coordinator situation. This is going to be what most people think the most creative offensive coordinator and play caller the Titans have had since Arthur Smith. And of course, all of these weapons are now coming in, and hopefully Treylon Burks stays healthy. I look at this as a buy low spot. I want every piece of it.
Yeah. And last thing on Tannehill before we keep rolling. Something that was said, and Sam, I don't remember if you remember this as well, late in training camp, is that a Titans receiver, I can't remember which one, said that Ryan Tannehill operates through practice as if he created this Titans offense. Like he's already got that level of mastering of this Tim Kelly offense, that he's directing people around and that he's out there like he's the one that came up with it when it's Tim Kelly's version of the offense, and that Tannehill's now into this for the 5th season. So I feel really good about Ryan Tannehill and where he's going to be, and he's got every motivational reason to crush it this year.
Yeah. Ryan Tannehill, like you said, motivational reasons, for sure. Like not more incentive than, trying to extend your NFL career, trying to, build a little bit of a legacy with a playoff run, trying to earn that next contract. There's a lot on the line for him, and he's in at least seemingly a pretty good position to do it.
Yeah, for sure. A to Z Sports here live on this Wednesday show, going through our season stat predictions. We just spent a lot of time on Ryan Tannehill. Now let's flip over to the King. What is your prediction for this season for Derrick Henry's rushing yards and rushing touchdowns? Rushing yards and rushing touchdowns for Derrick Henry in another contract season for him, where he's been really good in contract years before. But first, let me tell you guys about the Aura app. Aura can keep you safe online, and it's so easy to get set up with Aura because I did it in April. Sam, I know you did it. Jack, you better get on it if you haven't already, because Aura Aura saves you from dealing with robocalls and spammers and telemarketers on your phone, in your email inbox, and actually at your personal mailbox at your home as well. And Aura makes it so easy because you go to our link, aura.com/ATOZ, and they give you a 2-week free trial. Aura found that 30 data brokers were sharing my information to telemarketers, and they got rid of those data brokers from my life in about 5 or 6 days. It's really been a big difference. I don't get the calls from random spam numbers or really any of the 615 area code numbers that are actually spam, that are pretending, or anything else. And also they have password manager and protector as well. has many other safety options for your online live. So check them out and go to our link, aura.com/ATOZ for a 2-week free trial. That's aura.com/ATOZ.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM has a survivor pool, an NFL survivor pool for you guys to get in that is free to play with up to $100,000 in prizes. It's presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Survivor pools, if you've never done them before, you join them, you pick a team to win week 1 of the NFL season, and if they win, you survive in advance. But once you use a team, you lose that team. You cannot use them again for the rest of the season, so be smart with who you pick. It's a great way to get strategic. It's a great way to have a little skin in the game each and every weekend when the NFL comes on. Austin's already in. He's on the Baltimore Ravens week 1. I'm probably going to get on the Baltimore Ravens week 1. I like that a lot. But whoever is sticking out to you, go ahead and make sure you get in with the survivor pool. Again, free to play and up to $100,000 in prizes with the BetMGM NFL survivor pool.
All right. So, Jack, we'll start with you. Rushing yards and rushing touchdowns for Derrick Henry in this season. What you got for us?
Yeah, so looking at last year, Derrick Henry finished 115 yards behind Josh Jacobs, second in the NFL in rushing yards, with just over 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns. I think 1,500 yards would be considered a very successful season from Derrick Henry. I don't think we're chasing 2,000 anymore like we thought we have been, at least for the last few years. Those days are behind us, and with an offensive line that's a little makeshift, and now Tajay Spears back there to take away some of the workload. I feel like he's not going to lead the league in rushing, but there's a good shot he's top 3 still. So 1,500 yards, and you look at his touchdown numbers, which have been absolutely awesome over the last 6 years of his career. He hasn't finished a season with under 10 rushing touchdowns since 2017, and that includes the season where his season was ended in Indianapolis with that Jones fracture.
Mm-hmm.
So I think double-digit touchdowns are absolutely on the table. If I had to guess, we're guessing his marks, right?
Yeah, yards and touchdowns.
Give me 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns for Derrick Henry this season, and I think the Titans are in business.
11 touchdowns is kind of low for what that 1,500 yards would be. And I'll tell you this, Jack. I'm looking at BetMGM right now. Derrick Henry to score 10+ rushing touchdowns in the regular season, -110. So, look, it's fairly even, right? I think that's something that you just said. He's done it every year for the last 5 years. If my on-air math is correct, that I think Derrick Henry likely to have double-digit touchdowns again. And all you need is 10, not over 10, but 10 or more for that. So 11 touchdowns and 1,500 yards. I did think it was funny that Orlando in the chat now, and Sam, I'll send you the chat here. He goes, Orlando says, I'm happy with a consistent 1,500 to 1,600 yards. The fact that a consistent 1,500 to 1,600 yards is how we describe that.
That's the bar.
Yeah, it's it's just a consistent 1,500. No big deal, just consistency from Derrick Henry. So, Sam, what's the rest of the chat say on this?
Well, John's got him at 2,025 touchdowns. He's going big. Shane's at 1,725 with 16. Ashley's at 18 and 17. We got 1,650 and 18, 2,026, 1,650 and 11, 22 and 22, 22, 22, 22 and 2. Wow, that's a lot of twos. Eric Castillo at 1,350 and 11, 1,508, 1.6K and 15, 1,700 from Jermel, 1,625 and 12 touchdowns, 1,500 yards from Andre, 15, 15, 1,450, 1,350. Seems like most people are in the double-digit touchdowns, pushing 15 with some of these touchdown totals. Clayton's at 1,311. So I think the most common number I'm seeing is right in that 1,500 to 1,600 mark. That seems to be where a lot of the chat's at, Austin.
So we did this math earlier, Sam, before the show, and me and Jack talked about this. Derrick Henry is within distance of breaking the Titans/Oilers franchise record for rushing yards to pass Eddie George. Eddie George has 10,009. Derrick Henry is 1,674 yards away from tying it. So he would need 1,675 to break that mark. I don't think that's going to happen. Is this Derrick Henry's last year in Nashville? That's a different show. But, if he's going to break the number, you better make sure it happens this year if it's ever good, if you want to, guarantee it. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I think, Jack, you're a little high on your 1,500 number. I think Derrick Henry is right around the 1,400s on this. And I think 15 touchdowns. I think touchdowns more, yards less. Kind of what I mentioned with my passing, Ryan Tannehill's stat projection, 4,000 yard passer means less rushing yards, but I had 27 touchdown passes, which can give Henry a couple more other rushing touchdowns. So I say 1,415 touchdowns for Derrick Henry. I still think that puts him top 3 or 4 in the league when it comes to rushing, but I just think it's a slight shift in the weight of the offense.
Yeah. I think I agree with you, Austin. I think that number is a bit gaudy for one season here of Derrick Henry and what I feel like they are going to try and do offensively as a team. Tajay Spears adds a wrinkle to this offense that, I think will help them tremendously, but maybe decrease some of Derrick's numbers, specifically in the red zone. When you start talking about like his ability to score touchdowns, last year, Derrick was all they had in the red zone. Now you've got some more weapons for Ryan Tannehill to throw to, kind of a gadget running back in Tajay Spears who can run it, who can catch it, who can get creative with it and make a big play that I think takes his numbers down. I was actually sort of in between the two of you. I had him at 1,450 and ultimately had 12 touchdowns. So maybe I'm the lowest on the touchdowns.
Jack had 11.
Oh, Jack at 11. So
you want to change your number, Jack? Do you want to change off of 11? Or are you sticking with 11?
No, I like 11. I think 11's very much
within a fine number. I agree. And I think Tajay Spears might get 5 or 6. And that might be where some of Derrick's, touchdowns go. So
what?
Yeah, but I agree with you, Austin. It's important. 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns is a really good year. It's going to be one of the better rushing years in the league. And so, it's easy to be like, oh, Derrick Henry declining. No, he's still a top 5 rusher in the NFL, and I think he'll be right around there statistically.
So what running back on the Titans roster scored a rushing touchdown last season besides Derrick Henry? What other running back, not Derrick Henry, scored a rushing touchdown last season for the Titans?
I think Dontrell Hilliard had one against it was early in the season. I believe he did not. Oh, he didn't have one?
No rushing.
Did Haskins get in there?
No running back had a rushing touchdown last season outside of Derrick Henry. Now, if you want to go back to 2 years ago when Derrick Henry missed, 9 games, right? Even because you said you think Spears could have 5-ish. Foreman and Hilliard combined for 5, and Adrian Peterson had
rushing.
1.
No, I think Spears might catch 4 or 5 from the red zone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like that train of thought. I do think the Titans will have more success throwing the ball in the red zone than they've had the last couple of years, which is just going to eat at Henry's numbers. But I think as long as you're putting 6 on the board, nobody's going to really be all that upset with how they do it.
The lines on Derrick Henry, 1150 is the over-under on rushing yards, and then 9.5 is the rushing touchdown total.
Man, I'm just going back in the memory bank. If we take out 2021, where Derrick Henry missed 9 games from injuries, the only other running back to score a rushing touchdown since Tannehill's been the starter and Derrick Henry's been the feature back is Jeremy McNichols had a rushing touchdown in the year 2020.
McWeapon.
Actually, I think that was 2019. So, yeah, 2019. No, it was 2020. So, it was 2020, Jeremy McNichols. So, outside of the 1 year that Henry got hurt, no other running back on the Titans roster has had a rushing touchdown when Derrick Henry is healthy.
That's wild.
That is wild.
That changes. And Tannehill's actually found pay dirt through his legs quite a few times as well. I know that he's kind of up there in rushing touchdowns with some of the speedier guys in the league.
Yeah, and Nika, when she figured it out, but when
Yeah.
Derrick Henry is healthy, no other running back has scored a touchdown rushing since Jeremy McNichols in 2020.
Yeah,
He had
Foreman was
one.
obviously when Henry was down. So
Right. Yeah. Deion Lewis had one in 2018, and that's it. Like when Derrick Henry's healthy. So pretty wild. But yeah, you've had
Really
guys
good
like
stats.
Jonnu Smith and AJ Brown have rushing touchdowns during those times.
Kane with a super chat says to get Eddie's record, it's less than 100 yards a game. You honestly think the team won't try to get it? I don't know if that's a goal. I think the team will try to get it if it gets within reach. You're going into the last game of the season. Derrick needs 95 yards to pass Eddie. Yeah, I think there might be a couple more handoffs that game than maybe typically would be in the.
But what's on the line?
But like,
but what else is on the line in that game? Because that's the
right.
Jags
Yeah,
game.
I mean,
running Henry gives them the best chance to win. Anyways, I don't think they're gonna necessarily force feed him, but I think that they know, and we know after watching Henry in Tennessee, that giving him the ball 25 plus times in a game where the playoffs are on the line is the right strategy anyways.
But to answer Kane's question, no, I don't believe the Titans are going to target that number for Derrick or try and get Derrick to that number consciously. That's not really how Mike Vrabel rolls. He's going to try and, it will probably involve a lot of running Derrick Henry, in my opinion, but he's going to try and win games. And if that happens along the way, great. And yeah, if you're 10 yards away from the record and you're in the fourth quarter and, you're smashing a team and Derrick would probably be out of the game, yeah, they'll probably leave him out there and try and get him the record. Like that wouldn't surprise me. But those things are obviously not the priority for this coaching staff or even for Derrick.
Yeah. And Jared says that Derrick Henry's 200-yard game away.
True. And I hope we see that. That would be cool.
And that's something that you play the Texans twice, and he's done that against the Texans, I think 5 times. But yeah, so very interesting there. All right. So Sam, again, did you give your prediction yet?
Yeah, I've got him right at 1450 and 12 touchdowns.
That's right. And then what were the over-unders? 1150?
It was 1150 and 9.5. So basically, yeah, right at the double-digit mark for touchdowns for him.
All right. We've gone through Tannehill and Derrick Henry. Now time for the wide receivers. So we're going to do this a little bit differently. We're not just going to ask, predictions for all the wide receivers. We're going to go more broad. Who will lead the team in receiving yards this season? You've got a couple options for sure with Treylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins, but does anybody else crack into that? Who will lead the Titans in receiving yards this upcoming season? But first, Sam, tell everybody about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute.
The Bone and Joint Institute, they're the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Don't fumble on your recovery and go somewhere you can trust. And that's the Bone and Joint Institute, located out in Franklin, with a state-of-the-art rehab facility to assist in your recovery and everything all under one roof for maximum convenience. They've got clinic, rehab, image, surgery, testing, all under the same roof, so you don't have to drive all over Middle Tennessee to get to your different appointments and schedules and stuff like that. No, you just go to Franklin. You go to the Bone and Joint Institute. Everybody's there with great help and great care for you and knowledgeable doctors to give you the best care in the game. So don't fumble on it. You got to go where you can trust whenever you get hurt in life, and that is the Bone and Joint Institute. Schedule an appointment, boneandjointtn.org.
All right, Sam, another time to tell you guys about BetMGM's NFL Survivor Pool Challenge presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. It's pretty simple. Survivor Pool, you pick one team to win each week in the NFL, and once you pick that team, you cannot pick them for the rest of the season. It is free to enter for all BetMGM existing users, and the last person standing at the end of it can get up to $100,000 in winnings right there with BetMGM. If you haven't signed up with BetMGM yet, we've got the right way for you to do it. That's with our bonus code ATOZ Sports, where you get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Then you can join the NFL Survivor Pool Challenge on BetMGM, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, since the only new existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and requirements. For rewards issued in non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem game sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Jack, it's your turn again. Who leads the Titans in receiving yards this season?
Look, it's a 2-horse race, but one of those horses has had trouble staying on the track, and I think it's DeAndre Hopkins by a mile. I hope it's Treylon Burks. For the sake of the Titans and the future of the Titans and the future of Treylon Burks, I hope it's Burks. But all the numbers are pointing towards DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is coming off a season where he was on a 17-game pace for 1,360 receiving yards last year in Arizona. He didn't have Mahomes or Josh Allen throwing him the football. He had Kyler Murray throwing the football, who is on the same tier as Ryan Tannehill as a passer. I think that DeAndre Hopkins goes over Burks by a few hundred yards. I do think that Burks takes a big step this season and flirts with that 1,000-yard mark. Don't think he quite gets there. I think D-Hop pushes that over. And look, when the game's on the line, who do you trust more right now? I mean, you guys have been out at camp. The rapport that Tannehill already has with D-Hop sounds exciting. I'm already fired up for it. I don't know that Burks and Tannehill can hit the ground running in week 1, especially with some of these lingering injury issues that he's dealing with. So for me, it's DeAndre Burks. It's DeAndre Hopkins, and it's really not much of a debate for me.
All right, Sam, I'll ask you the question that Jack just asked. Who do you think Ryan Tannehill has the better connection with, like, at this point?
DeAndre Hopkins. I do still think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be his safety valve. I think Treylon has improved a ton. Ryan Tannehill has a great connection with Treylon, but I think there's something about the veteran-to-veteran connection of DeAndre Hopkins being in this league for over a decade and Ryan Tannehill being in this league for over a decade, and the two of them just kind of, you know where to be, you know where to put the football, you know how to make a play when it's on you, that I think Ryan Tannehill values a lot. Like, he knows DeAndre Hopkins is reliable. If he puts it on his hands, he's going to catch it. He's going to use his body well to come down with the ball. So I don't know if that's an answer to the yard.
No, yeah.
But I think Ryan Tannehill, 3rd down and 5, got to have it. I think he's looking at DeAndre Hopkins.
All right, so we asked the question in the chat. Jack says it's DeAndre Hopkins. Sam, I'll send you to the chat. Who do you think, or who does the chat think will lead the Titans in receiving yards this season?
You've got Burks from Major Keys, Hopkins from Noah, Chig from Stephen King, Burks from MB.
It better not be Chig.
Yeah,
if it's Chig, there's a problem.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Well, we've got some interesting ones on here. So Hopkins with 1.1K says Clayton. Burks. Eric's coming in with a Colton Dowell. We've got Elite Burks, D-Hop, another Chig, Burks, Hopkins due to availability in line with what Jack said, D-Hop from Jay, D-Hop from Matt. We've got Burks by a mile. We've got Chris Moore from Michael Jones. We've got Burks, D-Hop, Hopkins, NWI from Eric Alonzo. So yeah, we had some grenades dropped in there.
Yeah,
with a couple.
So there's whatever it is about the name.
Here, Chris Moore here,
Something about the Erics that watch this show are just some of the most consistent trolls.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is with those Erics that we've got going on here. So, Sam, I'll say, like, I've changed my answer to this because early in camp, we did a show out in the parking lot where I thought Burks was still the yards leader and Hopkins was going to be the reception leader. But as much as I really like watching Treylon Burks, and I think he's going to have a very, very good year, I kind of agree with you in what you said about Tannehill and Hopkins. I think it's just going to be a machine. And as long as both guys are playing, there's going to be a lot of 17-10 out there in connections and scoring and converting first downs. I think DeAndre Hopkins leads the team in receiving yards with, I think I still stand by my statement of both Burks and Hopkins need to combine for over 2,000. And I think that's very likely.
Yeah. I'm on Treylon Burks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which I know kind of goes against what I said about Ryan Tannehill's connection with DeAndre Hopkins, but I really think having a guy like D-Hop that's a reliable possession guy that can convert third downs, can be good for first downs, can kind of run some of those short and intermediate routes that the Titans need ran, will really free up Treylon to make stuff happen down the field. And I think people are sleeping a little bit on Treylon's ability to be a deep threat and Traylon's ability to go for the big play. So I think we might see a lot of games this year that, DeAndre Hopkins has 7 catches for 60 yards. Treylon Burks has 4 for 110 because he took the top off once or twice. And so I think I'm going to take, in a close race, Hopkins with way more receptions, but Treylon Burks edging him out in the receiving yards category.
Okay.
I like that.
Quick, guess that line because I find them interesting. DeAndre Hopkins line, receiving yards.
950. I don't think the Titans passing offense is respected from, the sportsbook side.
It is an over-under, right?
Yeah, it's an over-under. And
I'm going to say 875.
Yeah, it's 850.5 with over-under 4.5 receiving touchdowns. So, however you feel about that, you might want to hammer that over as well.
Which number do you like better there, guys? If you had to put your money on one of those two, would you go over 4.5 touchdowns?
I like the touchdowns a lot at over 4.5.
I like both.
Yeah, I mean, they're even to me, but if I had to pick one, probably touchdowns because, everything that DeAndre Hopkins does well, which is create space with his body, catch every single ball put on his hands, and have chemistry with your quarterback. Those are things that translate into touchdowns. So I think Ryan Tannehill's looking for him all day down there.
Yeah, I think if you're trying to pick one of those two, I would go with the touchdowns too, because you can have 5 touchdowns in a 7-game stretch and then get hurt and miss games and not get 850, right? So I definitely think the touchdowns is the better
less risk on the touchdown bet
on longevity and everything there too. So, but hey, I think the interesting thing is that with Tannehill, Henry, and with D-Hop lines, we've all gone over on.
Well, they're
correlated. Well, the D-Hop and Tannehill lines.
Henry, I feel like, was by far the least disrespectful of the bunch. I'll say that.
At 1150,
at 1150, I do think he hits that over. But to say, is it a lock that Derrick Henry gets 10 touchdowns and runs for 1,200 yards? I think it's less of a lock than Ryan Tannehill throwing for 3K. Ryan Tannehill throwing for 3K is crazy. As a betting line, I can't get over that.
Yeah. All right. Who do you think? So who do you think leads in quick aside? Who leads in touchdown catches?
I do think it's Hopkins.
Jack?
Yeah, it's hard for me to go anywhere else but Hopkins.
I think I literally think Burks is the guy that might have 45 catches for 1,000 to 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns, whereas Hopkins might be your 81 catches for 900 yard 10 touchdown guy. That is just more of a consistent reception and touchdown player without necessarily having the huge 150-yard games.
Really quick, I do think that Eric Davis I think Spears is a good dark horse pick for that. I think that
I don't know for leading. I mean, I do think he's going to get a couple, but I don't know.
I think he finds some work in the low red zone, and has one of those stretches that Austin was just talking about, a 5-7 game stretch where he's just finding his way into the end zone. I think he's going to be a big time asset for Tannehill this year.
All right. Well, we've spent about 53 minutes on all offense. Let's flip it over and go defense with this. Who will lead the Titans in sacks this season? We got Jeffrey Simmons on the graphic, but I think there's a lot of options for this one. This is definitely a busier pick than what the wide receiver yards leader was going to be. But who leads the Tennessee Titans in sacks this upcoming season? But first, Krebs Kubota is the leader when it comes to equipment providers in the mid-states. KrebsKubota.com and their 3 locations across the Middle Tennessee in Murfreesboro, Columbia, and Franklin. They are an elite Kubota dealer, which means they have the best equipment that you can find in the entire industry, the best power units, the best machinery, and also the best warranties for any of that equipment that you're going to find out there. And you've got the Krebs family that have been doing it now with their 3 locations, Murfreesboro, Columbia, and in Franklin, that can help you out in whatever your projects are at home, whether they're big or small. If you just need a new trimmer, new mower, they've got it covered. If you have a complicated yard with some hills, a ditch, some dangerous type of spots, they can help you find the right mower for you, the right trimmer for you. And if you're trying to go big, trying to bale some hay, trying to do some other stuff out there in the county land, then you go to Krebs Kubota and make sure that they can help you out. I know a former Titan, Sam, that I talked to at practice, has got a new farming project that he's got going on. I'm not going to drop that on him out here publicly, but I do think
Titan it is.
Yeah, Sam knows what I'm talking about. Got some good land out there, trying to start a farming career after his NFL career is over. But hey, Krebs Kubota is where to go for that. So online at KrebsKubota.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbook. To get with the BetMGM Survivor Pool, you sign up on the BetMGM app for free to play, and up to $100,000 in prize money. You pick an NFL team to win week 1. If they win, you survive and advance. It's 1 week at a time. If you use them, you lose them. So once you pick a team, you can't pick them again for the rest of the NFL season. Make sure you're smart about who you're picking. I'm on Baltimore. Austin's on Baltimore. But whoever's sticking out to you, all they got to do, just win, baby. That's it. Keep going 1 week at a time. And if you're the last one standing, you can win up to $100,000 on a free-to-play Survivor Pool. BetMGM.com and the BetMGM app. Before we get into our answers here, I have to walk back. I underestimated the catches a little bit on Treylon Burks, so I just want to get that out of the way. I said like 45 catches and over 1,000 yards. Bit unrealistic, maybe. I just want to get that out there. I'm not that dumb. It kind of happened, and then it happened, and then good on chat for some good accountability there. So yeah,
big play Trey. You never know.
Yeah, that's right. Who you got, Jack? Who leads the team in sacks this year?
I'm going to take a page out of Deion Sanders' book, Austin. Big Jeff isn't coming. He's here. Big Jeff ain't coming. He's here. Big Jeff had 7.5 sacks last year. Didn't have a stable, group around him, with Harold Landry not being in there and, Bud Dupree not always being available. I do think that it's Big Jeff. I think that he has double-digit sack numbers this season. I know he's going to get most of the attention, but there's going to be guys on the outside that establish themselves early, like Arden Key and, a rejuvenated Harold Landry, that make offenses start paying attention to the edge. And when you start doing that, Big Jeff finds one-on-one matchups, and he tears your quarterback's head off. I think it's Big Jeff.
All right, well, let's look at the chat real quick. Noah's coming in with Key. Scott's coming in with Landry. Andre Key, Harold, Autry, Key. We've got Harold or Key. Tier Tart from Jay thinks Tier Tart's having that breakout pass rush here. Honor Landry from Brian. We got Autry, Landry, Harold, Big Jeff, Key or Gibson, Big Jeff Simmons. We've got Harold Landry, Autry, Harold Landry, Key. I'm surprised. I am surprised with all the Arden Key comments. I think Arden Key's great. I've been a big fan of Arden Key this off season. Austin, does that surprise you? Where are you at on this one?
Well, I think Arden Key, because we were asking him after practice every day, like, hey, how many sacks do you have? And he's like 7, 5 by his count.
Great. He had a great training camp.
It did cool off a little bit towards the end. Andre Dillard got a little bit better. I think Andre Dillard started to learn what Arden Key's moves were. But Andre Dillard is going to have a lot more opportunity to learn Arden Key than any other tackle that Arden Key's going to play. So I think he's going to have a good season. Now, don't forget, Jack, you did say Arden Key is going to have 10 plus sacks this year, but you think Jeff Simmons is going to lead the team. So that's a lot of getting after and getting the quarterback down, which
I think it's safer just because Big Jeff's snap count, I think, will be higher than just about anybody's on that defensive line.
Yeah, I think the Titans have 3 players that could go for 10 plus. I think Key, Jeff, and Landry are those 3. I just have a hard time picking Jeffrey Simmons, an interior player, to have the most sacks on a team when you have experienced sack guys on the edge around him. I think Autry is probably a 7+ guy, not quite double digits.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to have to go with Arden Key. I think Landry has a chance too, but I just don't feel confident sticking my neck out there and say that Harold Landry is going to lead the team in sacks the year after the ACL. Even though it's been a full 12 months, it's still the year after. And so I'm going to go with Arden Key.
I tend to lean with Jack. He was my most valuable Titan for a reason. So I'm going to take Big Jeff. I think it's double digits as well. 7.5 last year, basically playing on one leg without a lot of supporting pass rushers around him. I think the job of blocking Jeffrey Simmons gets that much more difficult for opposing offensive lines this year. And it's a $94 million man looking to prove everybody right and establish himself as, hey, I'm here. We need to talk about Big Jeff Simmons a little bit more. So I like Jeff to lead the team. I think it's right around that 10 sack mark, and then a lot of love to go around.
Big Jeff is considered, top 3, top 5 at his position. I think that he's really hell-bent on proving to the rest of the league that he's that guy. He's number one, and he's going to need a double-digit sack season at some point to do it. So I think this year is the right opportunity for him to get there.
Quick, fast question. So last year, the Eagles had the most sacks in the league with 70, and they were 15 more than the second best. But 4 teams, including the Eagles, Chiefs, Patriots, and Cowboys, had over 50 sacks last season. Can the Titans get over 50 sacks? That is just north of 3 a game?
They can. I think it's close. I think it's really
tough to.
It's 2.9 a game. So just under 3 a game.
It'd be tough to bet on. That's a really high number. And the Eagles did it with a guy like Hassan Reddick. I think he had 14 or 15. Brandon Graham had like 13. They had 3, they maybe had 4 guys with double-digit sacks last year. I don't know that that's in the Titans' future. 50 is a tough number to hit, but it's a good bar to set. I think.
The Eagles had 70.
It's tough though. Yeah, even if you give 6 to Danico, 6 to Harold, 6 to Key, 10 to Jeff, 5 to Gibson, like a couple to Rashad Weaver here and there, like you're still not really pushing.
You can't do it with one guy in double digits. Really, the only way to get there is with 3.
Right. So I don't think they get to 50, but I think they're at 40.
40 would put them, top half of the league for sure.
Yeah. I think they get to 40. I don't know if 50 is realistic. I don't know. That's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
50 is a big number. Only 4 teams did it last year. And the Eagles blew by it with 70. Crazy. But hey, 48 or 45 plus, I think is definitely reasonable to expect there. All right, guys. We've been talking for over an hour. It is time for probably going to be one of the spicier throw and shade segments that we've had in a bit. Somebody said Austin should be in the middle of this show because he's the boss man. There's a reason why Sam's in the middle of the show, because somebody needs to separate me and Jack from what we're about to get into. Time for some throw and shade. Presented by Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. So
real quick,
I had
did they get to 40 plus last year?
I'd be surprised.
The Titans had 39 last year.
Yeah.
I think they could get to 50 then. I don't know. That's at 39 last year. They were not very good as a pass rush unit last year. That makes me kind of reconsider.
They fell off the face of the earth late, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I had a shade that was going to be really good. I'm just going to save it for next Wednesday because we're going to have plenty of stuff to talk about here. So Sam, I will give you the floor.
All right. Well, first of all, this is a personal shade. This has nothing to do with these two guys, but shade on Buck Rising is my first shade. Because he tweeted this the other day. Who is the worst fantasy football drafter, the auto drafter or the distracted drafter? You see, I cast my vote on the auto drafter, and I was like, Buck, what are we doing? Because I'm in a fantasy league with Buck. It is the Titans Media Fantasy League, and Buck was the only person in the entire draft that was too cool for school to show up and auto drafted his team. So we're all sitting there in the chat being like, oh, Buck gets Daniel Jones. And I'm like, yeah, he's not going to love that. But he's the auto drafter. So shade on Buck for tweeting this out when he is the man that he's talking about.
So I think the reason why I did that is because it was a poll. I think he was turning his ridiculousness into content. And so that is where I'm going to.
No, it's fair. My shade is not on him tweeting it. You can tweet it all you want. My shade is on him being the auto drafter because nobody likes an auto drafter, man. Like,
don't join a league if you're not going to show up to the draft.
Yeah, nobody likes an auto drafter. Shade on Buck for auto drafting, especially like I feel like our media league is a pretty fun league that you want to have some bragging rights in. Like at least show up to the draft, man. It was online. We're not asking for 2 hours of a Zoom. Just click a few buttons on an ESPN app and you're good. But here's
the only thing I want to do is draft. I don't want to do any other fantasy football besides draft.
Drafting's the best part, probably, right? Yeah.
Yes.
But let's get into what everybody came for. Let's get into possibly the worst take of the year. Let's get into one of the more ridiculous takes I have seen, because I've got news for everybody. Not a college football guy. I kind of am a college football guy. I'm a casual college football guy, Big Ten guy. I root for those schools up north. And I came down to Tennessee and I was like, yeah, you know what? I don't really care. Between Bama and Vols and, Georgia, there's a lot of different fandoms down here in Nashville. I don't really care. And I, at one point, was like death to the SEC, which I still am. But I have absolutely pivoted as death to Rocky Top. I hate the Tennessee Volunteers with a passion. I hate them. Because no, I don't like them anymore because of stuff like this. And it's the Tennessee fans that are so off-putting that a casual who was like, I saw Hendon Hooker last year. I was like, man, this is kind of cool. Tennessee's beating Bama. Like, this is awesome. No, I loathe them. And, I hope that they go back to their 5-7 every year so that I don't have to listen to stuff like this anymore. Charlie Burris tweeted this out the other day to a video of Nissan Stadium being overrun with Vols fans for the game this weekend. It was a great atmosphere. Shout out to the Tennessee fans. They show up and they know how to have a good time. They know how to bring the energy. And I believe it was Chad Withrow at the time said, I wish this for the Titans someday, to which he said, if the Titans would take even the smallest effort to pander to Tennessee fans, they could get more of this. Instead, they prefer to spit in our faces. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Number one, no pro sports team should feel obligated to or should pander to a college audience ever. Whether you're talking about drafting them, they should not. And I do think a lot of this, and I know, Austin, you're going to refute some of this, but I do think a lot of this is rooted in they drafted the guy you don't like over the guy that you do, in Will Levis over Hendon Hooker, because Will Levis went to Kentucky. It's crap. It's nonsense. Hendon Hooker's not the pro prospect that Will Levis is. He wasn't in college. He's not now. I think part of this is the greatest player of all time, Rocky Top's favorite savior, their guy, right? The guy that they worship, Peyton Manning, played for the Titans' biggest rival forever. That's fine. That's a reality that happened. But just say you don't care about the NFL. Say that you were raised to like Tennessee a little bit more. Just say that it means more to you for the Vols. And that's fine with me. You can root for what you want. But don't try and blame the Titans for spitting in our faces. And then he doubles down when somebody calls it ridiculous to Buck and says, is it more dumb that you don't realize Buck and I work for the same company, as if everybody that wears this A to Z sports hat has to praise the ground that any Tennessee Volunteer walks on? I think it's ridiculous. Shade on Charlie. Worst take of the weekend, and one that I have seen in a long time.
All right, so I agree. His tweet about Buck and him working for A to Z was dumb, because we are very vocal in that we don't agree on the same thing, and we don't have a company line. The only company line we have is be authentic and be yourself. And so I will say this, Sam, there is something to what Charlie is saying. And I told this to Charlie. Charlie took a blowtorch to a potential very interesting conversation that could have been had, because Charlie feels this way for a reason. Charlie is a diehard Titans fan who grew up in Knoxville. He is.
I'm a diehard Titans fan.
No,
I don't tweet about Mike Vrabel being fired after every offseason.
But you can have opinions and not like the decisions of your team. That's part of being a diehard fan, is criticizing and cheering when things are that way. That's not just because you want somebody fired. Did you want Todd Downing fired for years, Jack? Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you're not a diehard Titans.
Mike Vrabel.
Look, Charlie has dramatic opinions and he admits to that. But here's the thing, is that this is a reality. Not for Vol fans overall. It's more about Knoxville and the Titans and Knoxville. Because when the Titans came to town, they chose to take the name the Tennessee Titans instead of what the majority of pro sports teams do and take the city name, outside of like Minnesota and like the Carolina Panthers that claim 2 states. There is and the Arizona Cardinals. there are mostly city team names in pro sports. But the Titans wanted to go statewide with the fan base.
And
Yet,
alliteration is
yeah, well, they could have picked something else. It was the Oilers for 2 years before they even picked on the Titans. So this is deeper than just picking Will Levis. Yes, did Will Levis have some of that like boiling point factor to it? A little bit. But Charlie's not alone. Knoxvillians feel like the Titans don't care for them. And early on, Knoxvillians who were Vol fans felt like the Titans were trying to claim and put the flag down on the state's team, because that's what some of their marketing was doing back in the mid and late 90s. And that is the reality. And so this is not about a new thing. This is a real thing that is happening. And there's a reason why Charlie feels that way and why he had, I think, nearly 1,500 likes on that tweet, because he's not alone from people in Knoxville. This is not about Vol/Titans fans that live in Middle Tennessee or West Tennessee or that live in Nashville. This is about Knoxville and the Titans and the relationship that has never been solid in that situation. And Charlie is the Titans fan that wants it to be better, but it hasn't gotten better. Well, I will say it has gotten better with Amy. Pre-Amy, it was non-existent. And I think that is where Charlie's frustration is at.
Jack, I'll let you go before I go with some points here. But I know
Knoxville is an annual stop on the Titans caravan. The Titans have gear with Vols logos on it.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what Vols fans are looking for from the Titans anymore. And for Tennessee fans to act like the Titans need them in order to sell out the stadium, did you forget that the Titans were on a 15, 16-year sellout streak before the 2015 season?
A lot of those numbers were kind of flubbed, but yeah.
Okay, well,
that was an investigation that came out that they were faking numbers.
Well, I'm just saying it's 15 to 16 years, and I went to that stadium a handful of times in that time period, and it was full. So it's not like the Titans need the Vols fans to be on their side. It's just bizarre to me because I'm from Nashville. 90% of my friends are Vols fans. They are normal people with normal
It's
faith.
not about Nashville Vol fans. That's the key thing. And that's what everybody.
Okay, let me ask you this. If it's not about Nashville, and Knoxville truly is upset because the Titans claimed the state as, what a crazy thing to say, oh, let's just be the Tennessee Titans. What pro team is Knoxville closer to? Is Knoxville closer to Carolina? Or help me out here, because the Titans are regionally the closest team to Knoxville, right?
Right. And I think there was a NFL arrogance to what the Titans did early that rubbed everybody in Knoxville the wrong way, because you said that the Titans don't need Vol fans to sell out their stadium. Yeah, but the Titans should absolutely want Vol fans to be fans of their organization, because Tennessee Vol fans are the biggest group of football fans in this region. And so a pro team that is a for-profit organization and company should want as many of those fans to like their product as possible, but it didn't happen. I went to Tennessee. I'm from Nashville. I grew up a Titans fan when they moved here, right? I will say this. I can attest to it. A lot of the guys I went to college with from Knoxville, they didn't care about the Titans, and they felt the same type of way that Charlie does, that the Titans kind of turn. I'm serious.
It's fine not to care. It's fine not to care. Just say you don't care, but don't say the Titans are spitting in the face. That's absolutely ludicrous.
I disagree with the spitting in the face thing. And I feel like I've been playing referee on both sides of this for like 5 days, because I've got Charlie saying things that are way over dramatic, and I've got everybody else reacting and not understanding what Charlie should have said. And go listen to Charlie's 30-minute segment on our YouTube page, because it was really good. And there's a reason why he feels this way.
Look,
when you put stuff into writing, though, you have to expect people to take that literally.
He messed it up. I told him, you had a really good argument until you took a blowtorch to it and burned it to the ground.
I want to ask you this, Austin, because you're very in touch with the Tennessee Vols fan base, and the Titans aren't going to start wearing orange and losing every time they go down to Florida, so they can't completely pander to the Tennessee audience. But I want to know what you think the people of Knoxville want out of the Titans. I'm genuinely confused on why they would think the Titans are ignoring them. I feel like if there's a city rivalry in the state of Tennessee, it's Nashville and Memphis, not Nashville and Knoxville.
Well, it's Titans in Knoxville, not Nashville and Knoxville. Well, there is a little bit of it because, we get called out for being A to Z Nashville. You guys should write about Vandy instead of the Vols when we are going towards the largest audience of people to
that's understandable.
Product, right?
But what do you think? What do you?
Well, a lot of it,
opinion?
There's a lot of cleanup work that would have to be done, but it is trying to, and the Titans are doing this now. It's a big part of why Tennessee played in Nissan Stadium on Saturday. They're trying to repair this, but there's a lot of generational frustration and generational apathy in Knoxville about the Titans organization.
Well, all right.
And it has nothing to do with drafting or not drafting Vols players. It does not, because it does. No, it is not, because it does. No, because Titans fans who are Vol fans applaud Javon Curse, applaud Derrick Henry, applaud any other rival that comes out of the SEC program that does well with the Titans. And that there is tons of background on that.
I hear you.
It's about the organization and how they marketed themselves as a competitor to the Vols,
but
25 years ago.
So this is where I think it's important. Number one, you've said it a couple times. It's been different recently. It's been different under Amy. Amy has made this effort better. Right. And so when he says this in this context, and right, Austin, you have been critical of how he worded this in this tweet, but right, I'm throwing shade at this tweet and how he's wording this and how he's phrasing this, which is like, this makes it seem like it's an active, ongoing problem that they prefer to spit in our faces. If they would do this, we would care a little bit more, which I don't think is true regardless. But then also they continue to prefer to spit in our faces. This is rooted in history, but it's not changing.
Well,
but I also want to add, there is no city, like there's no precedent for this, for a city that, by the way, is 50 miles from the Carolina border, to like feel like they own the entire state, that they own the name Tennessee.
This is different.
Nobody should be able to be the Tennessee anything.
No, this is
to our state.
There is
care about us and baby us. Like no other professional franchise has ever done that with a college team. Why should the Titans do it? Do they target Nashville way more than Knoxville and prioritize that? Yes. Why? There's better population. There's a younger audience. There are people here that are going to grow generations and generations and generations of Titans fans. There's more money here. Like, these are business decisions that Bud Adams made, that Amy has then tried to repair that relationship while also showing you how has she built this team into a new stadium, a perennial winner, as like Nashville's favorite sports team. So like,
here's the difference in this, because you're right. There is no precedent, because the unique aspect of this is that there were no pro sports teams in the state until the Titans and the Preds basically simultaneously got here.
I mean, there were no sports teams in any state because college sports existed first.
Yeah, but like the like modern age of what pro sports are, because Sam, your generations of Chicago family grew up with all of the pro sports teams that represented Chicago for generations, where we're still in the first 1.5 generation of Titans fans. Like, it's still that young, but of Vol fans, there are 4 or 5 generations of diehard Vol fans and Vandy fans in the state. Yet the problem was, like, if the same thing would happen, Sam, if a NFL franchise went to the state of Alabama and tried to do the same type of marketing in Alabama,
they wouldn't. And so this
is but they wouldn't do the same.
Important to me, Austin. This is, I think, an important point. The Titans are here, and the reason that they don't target the Vols fan base is because it's a different fan base. It's a different team. It's a different market. Yeah, and if they try and they made their identity coming to Nashville, we are like trying to buy goodwill from the Vols fans. They're always second fiddle. they correctly identified that the people of Knoxville will never give their money for a weekend to come down to Nashville and watch a Titans game when there's a game at Neyland Stadium that Saturday.
And here's where
there is more
because they don't care enough. And because when the Titans were the most exciting, when the Titans were the most exciting, it was in the early 2000s when that Colts-Titans rivalry was at its peak. Right when the Titans came to town, Knoxville wanted nothing to do with them because Peyton Manning was playing up in Indianapolis. There are still Vols fans who still prefer the Colts.
Yes.
Even though Peyton Manning is gone.
And I find that ridiculous. Let me interject here. Because everything was like simultaneous, like perfect storm kind of crashing at once, because Peyton goes to the Colts as soon as the Tennessee Oilers come to Memphis and then go to Nashville. And then all of a sudden the organization, the Houston Oilers / Titans organization, is marketing as Tennessee's team and trying to make and take grasp of Tennessee's team with, I think their intentions were to include everybody, but what they didn't do was understand what that was going to rub with the biggest football population in the state. Because that's the thing, though.
But like, to use your argument again, like, Austin, is like, nobody would go to Birmingham, create a professional sports team, and then like feel like Alabama fans are not buying into that team, regardless of what you do. Alabama.
Then who is buying into it? Because that's what I'm saying. In Nashville,
the city of Birmingham,
right? Who are all Alabama fans? That's the point. Is that Nashville was Birmingham.
Yeah, here's the problem. Nashville also is Georgia fans and Alabama fans and Vanderbilt fans and Middle Tennessee fans.
Now, I'm talking mid-90s, Sam. And this is the part. Sam, you don't understand it, and that's okay because you're young and you're not from here. Buck, same thing. Doesn't understand it. Jack, you understand it more, but you're a Vandy fan, right? So you're just not as.
So what? That doesn't invalidate.
No, it does, because you weren't paying attention to it. That's why it doesn't. That's why you understand it more, but you weren't paying attention to it like Tennessee fans were, like
I'm
Charlie
not from
was.
Knoxville.
I know that,
and you aren't either.
I know, but I understand it. I don't agree with how I understand
orange sunglasses. I just think it's ridiculous that Tennessee fans have this, and maybe it's not Tennessee fans, maybe it's Knoxvillians.
Yeah,
have this false sense of entitlement where, God forbid, a professional sports team come to this state and call it the team of Tennessee. That's softer than Baby Dookie, and you can't tell me otherwise.
But it's the way that the Titans marketing went about it in the mid 90s when the entire state was orange through and through, because that's all there was for multiple generations. That's what happened.
The Titans don't owe the Vols anything.
No,
they don't owe them anything.
But
why should the Titans scratch the Vols backs when all of them are wearing 18 jerseys?
Here's where I think
Indianapolis.
Go, Austin. Here's where I know what you mean, that they don't owe it, but you've said a couple times they should want Vols fans on their side. I do think that is objectively true, that if you had a bigger fan base, right, you make more money, that's good for the team. But I do think pouring as much into the Vols as Vols fans wanted the Titans to pour into the Vols would have cost them a lot of opportunities in Nashville to grow their current fan base into what it is, where people in Nashville care more about the Titans than they do Tennessee. And Nashville is slowly rising to become one of the booming cities of the United States. And the Titans have successfully ingrained themselves into the identity of this city. I don't think they do that if they're making this constant pandering to Knoxville, where they'll always be second fiddle.
Why Knoxville Vol fans that feel this way said they should have been the Nashville Titans or the Nashville Knights or whatever the hell the Nashville was going to be. But I look, Memphis should have been
fine. Memphis doesn't complain.
They do complain a lot.
The Tennessee Titans?
No,
they aren't as loud and not nearly as wrong.
I don't know anybody from Memphis that has a big problem with the Titans using the name Tennessee in there.
Nobody does.
Memphis
it's a fake reason to be fake mad.
It's not. They're again, guys. I'm telling you what happened. It all started in the mid 90s and late 90s with the marketing ploy that the Titans organization attempted at the time that backfired towards Knoxville Vol fans, and it shut off a portion of their potential fan base. And here's the thing that Charlie wants. Charlie wants it to be better because Charlie is a Titans fan who grew up in Knoxville, is a Vol grad, and has a media career. And so he wants it to be better, but he wouldn't
come with
so
solutions.
So let's bring it back. Charlie wants it to be better. What could the Titans do differently right now that would make Charlie Burris happy? Change their name?
They can't. There's
Nashville
nothing because
Titans,
they'll never be satisfied.
Change their name? Like they treat Knoxville fine. They treat Tennessee fine. Do you want to keep complaining about something that happened 30 years ago, 25 years ago, or do you just want to root for the team that you're an alleged diehard of? Like, it's not a complicated recipe. You either care and you want to root for them or you don't.
The reason why Charlie tweeted it is because he does care. Because he wants the Titans to have a better fan.
What does he want them to do? What is he?
I haven't heard a solution.
Because all the things you've offered up have been from the 90s.
Why aren't they the University of Knoxville?
Because they're University of Tennessee in Knoxville is what they're technically.
I mean, come on, what are we talking about here?
Because it's a state-run organization.
They own that more than UT Martin or UT, any of the other UTs.
But seriously, Austin, another chance, like a solution.
I was not here to present solutions today. I was here to hopefully have people understand what Charlie's gripe was about. And because look, has this conversation been had over the last 10 years, Jack?
No. Vols fans are always looking for a reason to complain, and it's just so ironic that it happens a few months after Will Levis gets drafted over Hendon Hooker, which was the right decision.
But I think the one thing Charlie did was start a conversation and
start an argument.
It does start the conversation. I think my ultimate counter argument would just be like, what is the solution?
Oh, it's continuing to do things like have the Vols play in Nashville. It's having the alumni things where you can get a Titans hat with the power T on the side. They're doing the right things. It's just not going to be fixed because it's been molded for 20 years. That's the whole point.
I just want to hear like a solution or two from the guy who's saying that this is such a huge problem and whining and spitting in the face and all that. I just want a solution. I'm not
the hurt party here. I just understand it more than the two of you guys do. So it's not my job to come up with a solution. It would be Charlie and Knoxville Titans fans, Vol fans who want more from the organization in Knoxville.
And they've got nothing. We've had 4 or 5 days to talk about it. I haven't seen one solution.
Yeah, well, we can ask him, and I can have Charlie do a segment on it because they're going to beat Austin Peay by 75 points, and then they can talk about it on Monday on the Big Orange podcast, and maybe they'll present the solutions, and we'll just make this team progress forward.
That needs any more air than it's already gotten.
I think it's been a really entertaining conversation for the last 3 days.
I would have to agree because I think we just did like 32 minutes that was absolutely electric on it. So I guess thank you, Charlie Burris.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. All right. Well,
solutions.
Next stop solutions. All right, guys, that'll do it for us. Sam, the Titans are back on the practice field later today to officially start game week practice. So we'll get some reaction and all the updates from that. Injury updates. The first injury report comes out this afternoon, so we'll be stay tuned to that to see what's going on with Traylon Burks and some of the others, Arden Key included, with that injury report for the Saints game. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning on a Thursday. Buck is live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime. Make sure you hit that like button and hit the thumbs up because more people watch the show than actually hit the like button. We need to fix that as well. There's a solution. Hit the like button to help us out, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on a Thursday. Appreciate it as always.